Hello there. Welcome to Come Monday. This is Carlton Pearson. We're a minute or so late because this is live and it's technical, and we live in this fantastic electronic age where we depend on these are all robots. I know that wearies some of you, and with the creation of science and the advancement of it, science, spirituality, humanity, and divinity are combining, and it's a little bit confusing initially, a little bit frightening because it's still new. When you take into consideration that we've made more progress in the last 100 years than we have the last 100,000 years as far as automation, certainly the last 10,000 years. So this is a new day. We're learning who we are. We're becoming, when I say get in touch with your divinity is your science. I heard somebody once say, and I love this, Jesus is the man, Christ is the science, the knowledge. Conscience, conscience means with knowledge. There's a knowledge that's coming forth, a truth. And I'm going to talk about the complexities of truth tonight. This Come Monday was the movie, and by the way, it was number 5 of the 10 top movies that Netflix did for 2018. And that's in the Variety magazine and others. We're very proud of that. I actually got a call from Stevie Wonder, a FaceTime. What's Stevie Wonder doing FaceTime with somebody he can't see? He FaceTimed me, and I said, "Dude, what you doing?" And of course, his wife had seen the movie, and she wanted to chat. So it was a beautiful little time. Madge was there, and we just chatted and talked for several minutes, and then he had to go. But she had seen the movie. She loved the scene at the end when I sing with Reggie. I sing, Jesus loves me, this I know, and he's dying of AIDS and knows it, and I know it. I can't help him. He wanted deliverance. We couldn't get him that way. We couldn't get him healed. I believe that healing comes either instantly, gradually, or in whatever the resurrection is. Sometimes we lay hands on people. I've done that for years, seen instant healing, or you go to the doctor and get a cure. It takes longer. Actually, more people get treated in hospitals than they do in churches, but possibly less people even get sick in churches than hospitals. We don't know. I mean, than those who don't. It's different. There's the stress and the tension around what you believe has a lot to do with how your physical body responds. So anyway, we're moving into this wider way. I say, Come Monday was the movie, Sunday was the movie, Come Monday is the movement into broader ways of thinking. My middle name is Demetrius. My ministry's name for years has been Dimensions, higher dimensions. We had to change it, but now to new dimensions. But dimensions means domains and measurements. And when Jesus says, in my Father's house there are many mansions, he's quoted have said that in Scripture. That really means in my Father's house, in the things of the Spirit, there are many dimensions and levels and floors and spaces and apartments and compartments and condos and condominiums. So I love all the different levels of my humanness, and that we are not only multidimensional beings, but interdimensional beings. We can go from one level to another, one place to another in seconds. Sometimes we stay on a certain floor for a longer period of time. We're on some level or some floor at night when we're sleeping. There's another level where we're in the REM, rapid eye movement, in the dream stage, and then when we're coming back out, and just when we're going into it, and when some people are sleepwalking all day. They're consciously unconscious or unconsciously unconscious. So without knowledge, they don't know. So my daughter's here. She's going to sing in a little bit. We have some wonderful programs coming up. I'm trying to get Weldon Tisdale. I talked with him today. He just got in town last night. Actually, I wanted him here tonight. He just resigned from the amazing Friendship Baptist Church here in Tulsa, where he's pastored for like 17 years or so. And he's succeeded his father, the great Reverend Tisdale, after whom the freeway here in Tulsa is named. Wayman is his brother. William is also his brother. Wayman is in heaven. His dad, his mom's gone. So he's going through that period. I just want to talk to him about that shift. We're working on a reality show called Shift Happens. And this would be some of the interviews we'd have with people who go through various shiftings in their lives. So We're going to have them on. We're going to have some more music programs, live bands, a lot of exciting things. I know you all can't watch it live each time, but of course we archive them, and you can always go back and watch them later. I run into people every day all over the country who watch it when they can, and they love to engage in the conversation. Sometimes we hear from you live when I'm on, and others during the week we try to respond when we hear from you. Others are having a little bit of difficulty accessing the show through this electronics and through the internet and all. Some things we can correct here, sometimes things we cannot correct. You have to correct it on your end because thousands of people, as you know, get this live and have access to it. But we're here for you. And the little part that we ask to support this work, there's, I don't know how many cameras in here. You never get to see Jason, who's the creative director here, just keeps all this stuff going. The guy puts all this stuff together, builds it by hand. He tells me what he likes and what he doesn't like, and I listen to him because he knows what he's doing. He's not that smart, but he's a genius. What is that? I'm a genius, but I ain't that smart. I mean, I'm smart, but I ain't no genius. So we work together very well. Anyway, I've been thinking about the complexities of truth. I'm 66 on my next birthday, and by the way, I got you don't even know this, man, I got my Medicare card today. So I'm a bona fide senior citizen. I can get cheap medicine. Ain't that beautiful? That's funny. It's hard to believe that, but I am. So I'm, you've heard me say many times, I ask questions, answer questions, and then question my answers. And not just my answers, or not just answers, but my answers. Sometimes you've heard all kinds of answers to questions, but when somebody asks you, you answer the question differently. Well, I'm known to answer questions a little bit differently all of my life, but I've never questioned my answers. And that's what I've been doing more the last 15 years than I think I have in the 50 years prior to that. So the complexities of truth. Now, truth is a complicated reality. I've been just writing all day. I have to get up in the middle. I have to jump out of the shower. I mean, these words and thoughts never stop flooding through me. I could have 25 books probably right now with just the stuff I've been writing. But truth is a complicated reality with various layers and levels and places and spaces and paces. It's in the time continuum. It will always make you free inwardly, but it doesn't always set you free outwardly. We say all the time, the truth will, the scripture says, will make you, which is a creative word. It will create a truth in you and a truth about you and a truth as you. But it doesn't always set you free, because you can be free and be in bondage at the same time, or be free and feel bound. You can be free and think bound. You can be free and experience bondage and feel that you're being restricted or restrained or constrained. And it's a difficult reality, difficult battle. So truth and truth can put you in jail. Truth can get you in trouble. Truth can mess up your marriage. If you tell the truth or know the truth about everything, you will lose friends. Truth can cause you to lose an election. Truth can cause you to make an election, to be elected. Truth can make you be impeached after you win an election. Did you hear what I say? All right. It can cause you to make friends. Truth can cause you to break friendships. Truth can literally destroy homes and families and relationships. But the same is true about untruths. Lies can win elections. Lies can cause you to have a girlfriend or boyfriend or lose one. Lies can cause you to lose a marriage. Lies can cause you to lose friends. Lies can put you in jail and in bondage and defame your reputation. So truth and lies are interesting contrasts. I'm not sure they're enemies. I just think they're contrasts. I think a truth is a kind of lie, and a lie is a kind of truth. It depends on what you believe. Did you hear me? To some people, a truth is a lie. It's deceptive. To some people, a lie is the truth. So we have to work and walk out our own truths. We have to to discover those truths. What do you believe about yourself? People who come out and say, my true sexuality is male and I'm in a female body, or it's female and I'm a male body, that truth can cause them to lose a job, to lose relationship with their families, can be kicked out of their church or out of their club or out of their school. But it's their truth. But to other people, they are deceived, or the people are deceived, or the person who says, this is my truth, is deceived. So truth has varying layers, and it actually has different personalities. Truth can work for you, as you, and of course, it can even work against you. Sometimes truth can be criminal or seem like a crime. It can be stunning and astounding, stultifying. We're going to find some truths, and I predicted this, or some would say I prophesied it in December, that 2019 will be a year where truth manifests, and truth explodes, and truth expels. Truth is going to kick some things out there. And it's going to be frightening. Truth is not always happy news. It's not always something you want to know. Some people literally hide that. If I get far enough in the lecture tonight, I'll talk about denials, because denial is not a river in Egypt. Denial is something that most of us live around and somehow live with. And it's an interesting, I could do a whole chapter just on that, but let me finish with truth. Truth is complicated because it has varying personalities and varying personifications. I was getting ready to come here tonight, and that thought came to my mind, and I rushed to write again, that truth is complicated because it has varying personalities and varying personifications. It can be described as what some call shapeshifters. That's mostly in science fiction, or in fiction, I should say, or science fiction. A shapeshifter is a person or being with the ability to change their physical form at will. Some people act like some of the top musicians and top entertainers and top politicians are shift shapers. What is it? Shape shifters, full of shift. But that they are somebody else disguised and as somebody else. You may be that person, not necessarily in a non-physical way. A non-physical form is mystical and mysterious, but truth is both. It's physical, it's non-physical. It's mystical and mysterious. It's mindful. It's divine, and sometimes it seems almost desecrated because it depends on how you hear it and whether or not you receive it as valid or factual or actual or punctuated properly. So truth is both. Again, truth, as I've experienced it, has varying personalities and personification. When I say personal, I mean personality is a combination of characteristics or qualities that form an individual's or perhaps a reality's distinctive character, or that reality or that character's behavior. That's the personality that comes out. It is qualities that make someone or something interesting or appealing or popular. Truth is both fascinating in some ways, a fantasy in another, because it is organic. Truth grows and changes and shifts and matures and expands. It literally changes. When truth does it's not immutable. Certain aspects of truth comes in different categories, and so we struggle with it. And truth for the moment is where you are. Perception is the ultimate reality, but not necessarily the ultimate truth. So we'll ask, is truth relative or absolute? I'm not absolutely sure that it's absolute. Absolute comes from the word solution or absolve, to absolve something or be absolute, to completely solve an issue. I don't know. It's more dissolvable than solvable. Things dissolve into something else. They become lucid and fluid and current of water, or sometimes it's stationary like ice. Truth can be like ice, mist, and water. They're all the same thing, made up of the same properties, but in different forms. It can be the solid block of ice or the mist around the ice when heat comes upon it and it melts and becomes water or fluid. So that's what I mean. Truth is a mystery. It's scientific and it's grace. Personification, on the other hand, is the attribution of a personal nature, a human usually characteristic, to something non-human or non-material, or the representation of an abstract quality in human form. That's the personification. You personify something that is not actually you. I do as well. I'm looking in the camera. I'm in the studio now. I'm personifying. You have a certain personification comes out of me that you either like or dislike. Most of you like it and you listen. Some of you just tune in because you really like it but scared to say it. That's all right. I don't care. It shifts just like my hair. I was saying to my mom and my brother that we were laughing that there's just for men, which is a rinse that can make it dark, and there's just for thin. And I got to use both these days. My mother says she has less hair to comb and more face to wash. My brother kept saying, look at all that face in them cheeks. All that, your face, the older you get, your hair reclines and your face gets bigger and sometimes more rigid or wrinkly. But that's just life. That's how we evolve. And truth is the same way. Truth ages, and yet it remains the same. Truth evolves, resolves, and dissolves, disappears sometimes, or it becomes less noticeable. Rob asks, do you think Jesus was absolute truth in flesh before us? I think Jesus sought absolute truth before us. I don't think he was truth. He wasn't sure what truth was. He did say, I am the way, the truth, and the life, but he said it, and yet he sought it. He said it, and yet he taught it. Well, he said it, and then he also said, my flesh is weak. My spirit is willing. Or the flesh is weak. Actually, he was talking about his disciples who were praying, and he wanted them to pray, and they were falling asleep, and he was praying and crying and wrestling with truth, said that his sweat looked like drops of blood. That was in Gethsemane. Gethsemane means the crushing of the seed or semen. Gethsemane, in the Garden of Gethsemane, where the olive was being crushed, and he was being crushed in the anguish of prayers and non-resolution, because he actually was saying, God, if it's possible, let there be another truth. Now, he just said, I'm the way, the truth. If it's possible, let this be another reality. If it's possible, let this particular reality or truth pass. So he quested for truth, and he absorbed some of it and expressed some of it, experienced some of it, and explored other realms. I don't think truth can be boxed into any one person or one personality or one personification or one religion or one particular doctrine or dogma. I think truth is mobile. I think it moves about. I think it's changeable, or as I said, organic. And I'm not trying to confuse you, but truth can be confusing. If you want to know the truth, one of the most powerful statements in any movie I've ever heard is Officer and a Gentleman, where who is the actor? He says to Tom Cruise, you can't handle the truth. Man, that hit me. And I wasn't just thinking about the people I preached to, because I was I don't know how many years ago, the 20-some years, really involved in ministry, preaching every Sunday in my church, 3 times usually, and all over the country. And I wondered all the time if those people really could handle the truth. So I never really told it. I've been thinking the way I'm expressing and speaking now for probably aspects of 40 years. Most of my life I've thought outside the box, but I wouldn't dare go outside the box, and I wouldn't show what I saw outside the box, because it was dangerous. It could be detrimental to me. It could hurt people's feelings. So, yes, that's a good question. And we have, Jesus is the truth. I don't even think Jesus knew what truth was. He did the best he could, but he complained about things that he didn't like. I think he was in his spirit, as you are and I am. We know the truth, but we don't believe it. We believe a lie. We believe what we're taught and told. We resist or resent or sometimes reject or just ignore what we know. Ignorance doesn't just mean to not know. It means to not notice or not to make note of, not to pay attention to. That's on the session that I'll talk about, denial. Denial doesn't mean if there was nothing deniable, you wouldn't deny. There's something there, and you want to ignore it. There's something there, and you know it's there. You recognize it. You identify it. And yet you ignore it. You deny that it's there. You insist on creating another reality. Sometimes that's the best thing to do if you can't handle what you know. But that doesn't mean it's not there. So truth can be described as, I said, what some people call a shapeshifter, this nonfiction thing. Truth is both factual and physical form, and it's non-physical form. It's mystical. It's mysterious, or a mystery, a mist story. That's the way I like to define mystery. It's kind of oversimplification. Again, truth that I've experienced it is varying personalities. And personification, they're all out there. Now, truth is a kind of entity. It's like a life force, possibly source. But it's an entity with multi-personality disorder. Or with personalities, I like to say, out of order. It's not always disorder. It's just that truth doesn't always come to you in the kind of regimentation that you would like it. It would be a lot easier to embrace it and absorb it if it came incrementally in the order that settles you most. But it depends on the mood. It depends on the mission. It depends on the environment, or the mental and moral and spiritual ecology of your soul, the environment of your spirit, where you live, in nature, and what you nurture about your nature determines how you perceive truth or how you receive truth. Just because you perceive it a certain way, that doesn't mean you receive it the same way you perceive it, because some people perceive truth as a lie and they receive it as deception. Some people perceive a lie as truth and receive it as a reality, and it becomes their reality. Remember, what you think about, you ultimately bring about. So when I say truth is a kind of entity with a multiple personality disorder, or personalities out of a truth, and can come at you from so many different angles and angels, that means messengers, that it can be confusing. It doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it confuses you or frightens you. It'll set you back a little bit. I'm coming into truths now based on study, research, investigation, interrogation, excavation, my own personal studying about the Bible and about religion and about God and faith and Jesus and the cross and the Christ and the church that I find initially offensive. It just upset everything I've studied and everything I've known and everything I've believed and everything I've taught, or everything I thought I knew about Scripture. I'm 4 generations that I can know, and probably many more if you count all the different dimensions of faith, all the way back to Africa, wherever my ancestors came from. They believed in spirits and that animism, that life was in animals and trees and bees and leaves and water and lakes and everything had energy. I believe that too. I think everything has conscience, or everything is conscious. Even inanimate things, thriving with energy. The light that's shining on me from the little cell phone camera that's there, that light is energy. The cell phone itself has cells. It's alive. The lights in the studio, in this stuff, this, all the stuff Jason built, all this is thriving with energy and thriving with life and light and truth and realities and perceptions and presentations. These things are presenting themselves. They have voices and choices, and they hear you, I think, or feel you, or certainly I hear. Sound is something you can hear, but it's also something you can feel, because it's all vibrations. So we had the group on here the other week, Jason and Sarah, with the drums and the sounds and the flute and all that stuff. We were creating vibrations, and vibrations are energy, and energy is in emotions, and energy in motion. Some people cried. Some people said they felt soothed and healed. Some people said it was a complete turn off to me. It didn't mean anything. It's different perceptions that people have. And we run the risk every time of presenting ourselves anywhere of somebody wondering who the hell you are, what the hell are you doing, what are they thinking? That's that's just the world we live in. I happen to like the world, and I'm interested in helping expand it and enhance it and really improve it. Truth is rarely perceived or understood, nor stands on its own. It needs varying accoutrements to be fully experienced tastefully and tactfully. It needs additional items of dress, appearance, or dressings like you put on salads or sandwiches or whatever, different seasonings to bring out or enhance its fullest flavor. We say truth stands alone. Truth sometimes is totally unidentifiable if it doesn't wear a certain wardrobe. It's not dressed a certain way for some people. Or if it doesn't taste a certain way. Sometimes truth is flavorless or colorless or cultureless. It comes nude, and then we dress it based on the cultural iconoclasms of our consciousness, whatever we think it should wear. If it's wintertime, truth needs a jacket. If it's summertime, it needs a bathing suit or a tank top or, you know. So, and we do that on our own based on the way we value or evaluate truth. Truth is up for evaluation. It can literally destroy homes, as I said, and relationships, and so can untruth. So we have to be willing to stay mobile when it comes to truth and be willing to move and shift and adjust to truth as it comes. I think we humans are more in love with feelings and fantasies than we are with people and realities. Listen to what I said. Truth. Truth is a feeling. Truth is also a fantasy. And we're in love with both. We humans are more in love with love, the feeling, what we think the feelings of love, or the fantasies about love, than we are with people. Because if people don't give us those feelings and somehow satisfy those fantasies, we don't like them as much. We don't want to be with them necessarily. They lose their attraction to our attractiveness to us, or our attraction to them. They don't have the same appeal. In fact, they repulse us. You don't want to be around somebody who's obnoxious or obstinate or arrogant or who makes your skin crawl. And I know what that's like. I think I am that way to some people. I don't mean to be. Sometimes I actually want to be that to some people. I shouldn't have said that, but it just come up out of my spirit because evidently it's down there. We love both, though. We love and we love feelings, and the two are inextricably connected, even though they exist separately. Love is defined as the greatest interest, and we're going to be talking about some aspects of love most of February, though next Monday, the first Monday in February, we'll have my friend Musi Cindy in from South Africa, Johannesburg. I'm going to meet him tomorrow in St. Petersburg, Florida, and for a few days we're going to be down there, and then we're coming home. And then he and Bishop Kosa Jackson, who were presiding over the Metacostal movement, which we are establishing him there in South Africa as the bishop, presiding bishop. And Musi, who was a preacher just like me, used to volunteer in the Oral Roberts office in Joburg, and Kosa, Bishop Jackson, used to volunteer in T.L. Osborne's office, both headquartered here. My dear friends, both have now transitioned. So it'll be an interesting program, but he wrote a book called Jesus in a Digital Age. It's, oh my God, it's astounding. It's one of the most confrontive, less combative, more confrontive books about what we've been thinking and teaching and thought and taught for several thousand years, at least 20 centuries. Anyway, you don't want to miss that program, and if you do, you're going to need to tape it or record it or whatever. All right, love is defined as the greatest interest in, or affection toward, or attraction to something or someone. Think of the people that you have interest in. Not just your parents and siblings. We have natural interest in them, but you're not always attracted to them, or they're not attracted to you. Sometimes the worst tension in love is in familial relationships or marital relationships, or you go on with somebody, the people you hang out with, because the love is more important to you because it's relational and informally covenant. And when it's broken, people go nuts. That's why I often say no one can love you, no one can hurt you, or harm you, or hinder you, or even hate you like somebody you love or who loves you. So the truth in love, again, it varies. It's optional. It's strange, and you need to keep thinking about it as whatever accoutrements you need to add to it, including love. When love is naked and raw and rare and rugged and rough, we rarely accept it. It shocks us when it's on its own. We dress love and address love, and we put dressings on love and season it and spice it up and put a little garlic, a little paprika or something, cilantro, smoke. Yeah, sometimes you just burn it. Sometimes you like it raw. Sometimes you like sushi love. You don't cook it. I like the California roll. That's about my favorite sushi. It's the only one I really seem to enjoy. Not a big sushi fan, but anyway, I think we humans, as I said, are more in love with the feelings and the fantasies. So figure out what they are. What is love and or truth? Because they run close seconds to each other. What does love feel like to you? Give that some thought. I think it's a good time to do a break. I'd really like to have Madge sing, and maybe she'll sing a second song. She's only prepared for one, but I've asked her to sing two. If she's really my obedient 22-year-old daughter, she'll have a second song to take us out with. But this is I'm saying a lot of heavy stuff tonight, and I have more to say. But I want to have this little song, and then I'm going to talk more about love and feelings as it relates to truth, experiential, and that you fantasize about. Because we do fantasize about both. Knowing both, being both, experiencing both. Love and truth, truth and love, true love, loving the truth. Okay? Come on, Maggie, what are you going to sing, sweetheart? The Greatest Love? She's going to sing The Greatest Love, right? Yeah. This Whitney Houston, Greatest Love, and then we're going to talk about the greatest love or some aspects of how interesting and complex, almost creepy love can be, but it's wonderful. All right, roll it, big guy. Go right into a spot after that, and then I'll come back.
I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. You taught me that. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. Never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. Oh, I found the greatest love of all inside of me. Oh, the greatest love of all. It's easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. I decided
Wow. We need to roll the applause. Cue the applause. Roars of applause. Wonderful, sweetheart. Absolutely powerful. I love you so much. And I love you. She's out a couple of days ago. She just randomly goes and she starts feeding, goes to a place where she can feed hungry people or serve up dishes or go to the animal shelter. And she does those things randomly. She doesn't always tell us. She just breaks away. We won't see her for a few hours. And she's going to babysit somebody she hasn't been asked to, just to look after kids. And she loves children. She loves animals. And I think that, wineskin is made. Wine is made out of dead animals' skins. Wine is made out of living animals' sins. It can make us do some crazy things. And then we talk about the wine of the Spirit, which is also appealing. It's an intoxicant, and life itself has energy that can be intoxicating, and we need occasional inebriations. A little breaks from some of the seriousness and some of the serenity. It needs to get frustrated. You need the energy and the anxiety, and then you need the passion and the peace. Everything has its place. I'm finding that all the ingredients really do somehow work together. So I don't know what you're going through tonight. Love is defined as the greatest interest in, affection toward, or attraction to something or someone. It encompasses a variety of strong, positive, and often powerful emotional mental states. Love is, like life, a sexually transmitted disease. Life is that. It's incurable. Life is terminal because we all go through, on this human level, that we go through the experience we call death, which is really an illusion. But it's not untreatable. Love needs to be treated like it's an illness that we're all afflicted with. Because love is sensational and painful, sometimes pitiful and pathetic, prophetic, dignified, eloquent, elegant, but then sometimes very messy and clumsy and cluttery, and it has jagged edges and tattered, frailed edges. So these states of mind can range anywhere from the most sublime virtue or gentle habit to the deepest interpersonal affection, and then to the simplest, most innocent pleasure love can. Alice is asking, what is the personification of love? Well, when I described personification, it is these things. We personify affection, attraction, kindness, interest. Now, I'm not talking about eros, which is erotic love, sensual, sexual love. That has its own place. Then there's agape, which is considered the Greek word that suggests the love of God, or agapao. Agan means much love, unconditional love, radical love. Then there's phileo, where we get Philadelphia, brotherhood, or friendship, fondness. You want to fond them, or you're fond of them, or fondle them, not necessarily physically, but you want to hold them in consciousness and then make space for them. So it's not always a person. It is, as I said earlier, a feeling and a fantasy. Love and truth are feelings and fantasies. They're hopes. Sometimes they're deferred dreams. We take it the way we can get it, or we take it the way we perceive it, or identify it, or recognize it. Sometimes you don't really know it's there until it isn't, or you don't know it isn't until it's there. It varies based on how you were raised, the cultural aspects of it. I think that people often teach, particularly in church, you need to learn to love. You don't really learn to love. You forget to love and learn to hate. I think we come here naturally loving and knowing, and then we should nurture that love and nurture that knowledge. But what happens is we then forget, through what I call spiritual amnesia, particularly between the womb and the tomb, that we know, and so we start believing rather than knowing. Religion and rituals and culture teaches us to believe something that we really don't know, and forget something that we really do. And then same with love. Love gets tattered in love. You teach when you teach somebody to love, then you're teaching them not to love. You don't really need to be taught to love. You need to nurture what's already there, or be reminded of something that you've forgotten, which is love, and which is knowledge, which is light. Now, light doesn't even mean light if there's no darkness, so you have everything juxtaposed. But you know how to evaluate love in light of hatred. You know how to evaluate light in light of darkness, or brightness in light of darkness, cold in light of hot. So those things they're not enemies. They help define and describe, and they actually enhance each other. I'm beginning to see the negative and the positive as allies, not enemies. So it's taking me a while to work through this idea that I don't really have any enemies, except sometimes the way I think. We think we have enemies. We've got 7.8 billion, almost 8 billion people on the planet, and all of us basically want the same thing, which is love and security and a sense of stability and appreciation and activity. We want to be wanted. Those things are not that hard to achieve or access. So why don't we all have it? There's enough love, there's enough activity, there's enough security, there's enough for all of us to have plenty of everything we think we need and a whole lot of what we want. But when we deprive, and the only reason we deprive somebody is because there's a depravity, they're depraved. There's an inner core that has rotted based on the influence of external poisons and toxins emotionally. So when we get back and get away from that, and I've been going through a detox all of the month of January, but I do it every year for 21 days straight and sometimes the whole month. And then I continue it sporadically throughout the year, eating less red meat and less meat, period. Diminishing the sodium intake. I love a cup of coffee in the morning, but I don't live off coffee. I like to be stimulated, and so there's some stimulants, and sugar can be a stimulant, and caffeine can be a stimulant, and we all have those. I think everything is good in moderation. Everything. It all has its place. So I'm learning to be less into right and wrong, good or bad, but just actions, thoughts, deeds with consequences. There's a sequence or sequel, that which follows everything we do. Everything we say, everything we think, everything we believe has energy. Everything you do has conscience, and is conscious. Everything you think is conscious. I mean, the thought itself is conscious of itself. The idea has its own energy, its own consciousness. The emotion is conscious of its emotion, of the energy that's in motion in it. And sometimes emotions have opinions and or are opinions. Opinion comes from the Greek word ophthalmos or ops, which is the Greek word for eye. A view, an option, an opinion, an ophthalmologist, optonomy. Ophisis is a word for serpent. You've heard of snake's eyes. Whole different lesson. Let me say a little bit more about love because we got about 14 minutes. The different states that love comes in. It encompasses a variety of strong love itself, positive, powerful, emotional, and mental states. They're not always the best states. Sometimes they are tenuous states. Sometimes they are testing and even dreadful states, because love, like truth, has different personifications and different personalities and come through. Love can come through a dog, a puppy, a pet, and that pet could be a Doberman Pinscher or a pit bull or an alligator or a bear. We've seen this in life and animals, the different programs and shows, nature, where humans and animals are more friendly than humans and humans. So you can have love shown through you to a beast that could in one snap break your neck, or one strike, a bear, just take your literal face or head off. And yet that bear or grizzly or whatever can be loving and kind and gentle. So these states of mind can range anywhere from the most sublime virtue or gentle habit to the deepest interpersonal affection. And then the simplest, most innocent pleasure. Love can do that and does. An example of this This range of meaning is the love that a mother has for a child, and that differs from the love of a spouse, or that differs from the love of food, or the love of sports. So love, again, comes in different personifications, as the young lady asked, and different personalities and different persons. My grandmother, my mother's mother, we lost her when I was 10 years old. She was only 53, but she's the one I think about when I use the word Big Mama, or my godmother, who lived till she was 91. Because there were 6 of us in the 6 children in my family, we didn't get a lot of individual affection because there were so many of us. Mom was an only child. My dad was the eldest of 7. He was tend to be a little bit more touchy, more affectionate because he had to look after those other kids. Mom then all of a sudden had to look after us. It was more natural for Dad to wonder where we were. In fact, my father lived until 1 month after all of the last of the 7 of his 6 siblings died, which is his baby brother, my Uncle James. He transitioned in February. My dad left the next month, 2 days after my birthday. It was interesting. All the others that he raised and helped raise and took care of, worried about him most of his life, they all left here before him. And then the very next month, not even 30 days after my father left us, my godmother showed me, and my grandmother, who I lost at 10, showed me individualized attention because we weren't all there. She was my godmother, so she wasn't mothering my other 5 siblings. So I got all the kisses and the hugs and the candy. I mean, she would take me to the store. Every time she picked me up at my grandmother's house or at church or sometimes from my mom's house, she would take me first. I remember it like yesterday. She would take me to these little country stores, and there's always these plastic toys. I would choose a horse or a cowboy or a little pig, a little animal, some little plastic toy, sometimes a car. She'd let me choose whether I want chocolate cake or, chocolate cupcake. I'm getting tearful just thinking about her. She's only been gone 3 years. But the love was individualized and very special. I kiss my children the way she kissed me. I hold them the way she held me. And it's very affirming and very validating and very powerful. You can see it still simulates emotions. And I had her for 62 years. And I knew that. The world had her for 91. My brother, my baby brother, her son is my baby brother, my godson. Her godson, but he's like my brother. He's 9 years younger than me. I remember when he was born. I remember when she brought him home. I remember the house we lived in when he was little. And my brother Rodney still lives in that house right now. And he's a very precious son. When she transitioned, he waited. I waited at the funeral home for him to arrive. I flew in from Tulsa. Waited. Didn't want to see her without him. He just walks up behind me, touches me on the back, and I turned around. And even though I was expecting him, I didn't think that was going to be him, and we just both bursted into this crazy loud burst of emotion. I didn't even know that was there, and I held him, and he held me as we walked in to review her remains. And love that was very passionate, but very painful and very emotional, very sensual. In that I could touch and see and hear and feel that mortuary. The owner, Anderson Ragsdale, who's now gone, Mr. Ragsdale, who wanted me to preach his funeral. He sent me 3 letters to verify that I would be there. I wasn't able to be there because they changed after he died, but he loved the gospel of inclusion. He wanted me to be there. But I remember when my grandmother transitioned, I wasn't planning to talk about this, but it's in my emotions right now. I remember going into the first funeral home he had in San Diego, and the first smell I had was of gas lantern or something that they were burning because it was cool in San Diego. Big Mama died in January, and we went, and it was cool in the wintertime. And then I smelled flowers mixed with gas, and I hadn't seen her body. And so the place looked creepy and quiet and still and a little chilly, and yet you could smell that they were trying to warm it up. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the gas. I didn't like the flowers. Because all of it reminded me of death. And I wondered what my big mom, what my grandmother would look like. Strange. That same man eulogized or not the man, but the Ragsdale mortuaries where I viewed my godmother's body in a special place. Of course, Big Mama left us in '64. My godmother in 2016. So the emotions that many years, almost 60, and I'm still thinking of flowers and gas and death, which is all a part of life. Dying is part of living. Living is a process of dying in this realm. We never really die, that's all an illusion. But love is mixed in between there. And so you think of the human that you get to touch and feel and love and kiss and hold and smell and, that they're present. And then that presence is gone. All you have is memories. And those memories are powerful. Sometimes those memories are more powerful than the realities. Those memories can generate more emotion and devotion and sometimes commotion than them actually living on the planet in the flesh. Isn't that something? These are interesting aspects of the human experience. You've heard me say, some of you, that when somebody asks you, how are you doing, they're basically saying, how are you dying today? Because we all, from the time we come out of our mother's womb, are in that process, in the time continuum of finishing this dimension and going into the next one. We simply change forms. I don't think that anybody ever really ceases to exist, but goes into some other realm and some other room, some other region, some other rhythm of consciousness. And in the farthest reaches and regions and rhythms is a reality that we call God. God's not a name, it's a title. Supremacy, supreme reality, supreme intelligence. Not necessarily as much a person as a principle, a standard, a natural, scientific, spiritual, mystical reality that is transcendent and that is natural and nurtures and evolutionary. And so you can't tie God down. You can't stop God in a stone or a person or just a personality or even a personification. If any, it would be a personification more than a person. That's the only way I can reasonably, logically, sanely perceive God. Because if I make God a man, then he lies. If I make God a man who sees, he's a man who pees. Excuse me. If he sits, he does other things. So I'm not gonna anthropomorphize God. I know that sounded crude, but I want to shake you out of trying to see God as sitting on a throne with a scepter and a beard, looking like Einstein or Yoda, with sandals and robes on. That's just superstitious. God is bigger, broader, better than that man-concocted entity who's judgmental and mean and angry and schizophrenic. He loves me not, loves me, loves it. I'm done with that. And I think that concept may be one of the most threatening, destructive habits of the human culture and concoctions. And I think that's something we created. It didn't create us, but it is desecrating us because of its image, what it means. It desanctifies us. It makes us less than our sovereign sanctified entity or essence. So anyway, you can love a spouse. That differs from the love of food. Most commonly, love refers to a feeling of strong attraction and emotional attachment. That's important. Sometimes it's not the best thing. Sometimes it's the most bitter thing. That emotional attraction, that emotional attachment. That could be due to a substance that's not healthy for you. That could be to a piece of chocolate cake. That could be to something that's too toxic and too poisonous and has too much sodium in it or too much sugar in it or too much carbohydrate. Love stands on its own as a separate or even often separate emotion. Separated emotion from another emotion, and yet summarily different from it. So they can be alike and different at the same time, and that's what we're wrestling through. Feelings are more numerous and diverse categorically. To feel a sense of sensitivity to or an intuitive awareness or an understanding of something is to feel it. When you have this sensitivity, this intuitive awareness, you recognize it and you sense that, not so much physically, but in your inner self and soul, your intuitive self. To feel it was actually first in the English language described as a physical sensation, of touch through either experience or perception. But it's really both. And so when I say wrap your arms around yourself, I wish we had some music to go out with. It would be lovely. When I say wrap your arms around yourself, feel you, sense you, situation you in that beautiful paradigm that is pleasant and pleasing and attractive and interesting and interested. Anything I'm interested in, I think is somehow interested in me and attracts me to it, including a person. Because what I want wants me. What you want wants you. Where the interest comes, it's usually mutual. Not exact, but it's mutual. And it's powerful. And it shouldn't be ignored. There's something about this program or my teachings that attracts you or interests you. And even if it repulses you, there's still an interest and an intrigue there. I read a lot of stuff. I meet people that I'm interested in and intrigued with, and they're not attractive to me, but I am attracted to them. Isn't that weird? I actually like that mystery. I like the curiosity in it. I like the adventurism in it. That's why the word yes is so powerful. No is boring and lifeless. Yes is adventurous and curious. Yes takes risks. Yes is a little edgy. And I like living on the edge. If you're not living on the edge, I think you're probably taking up too much space. I heard Earl Roberts say one time, one of my favorite statements as I close this. He said, I don't really know how to arrive. I just like to keep on going. I just know how to keep on going. He said that from the stage one time. He said, I'm a desperate man. I don't know how to arrive. I just know how to keep on going. So I'm saying to you tonight as we close, keep on going. Keep on expanding. Keep on growing. Don't put a period where the universe has a comma. And be careful when and how you use exclamation points. Okay? Don't make it bigger than it is. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Love you. God bless you. God be you. Make sure you come again next week, Monday live. And we'll be here with Musi Cindy and Bishop Kosa. Majesty knows both of them, has sang for them in South Africa a number of times. And we'll be here again next Monday night. And we're going to go to the Jazz Hall of Fame next Tuesday because we're going to meet my friend Jason, who manages the place. And Matt is going to sing, and we're just going to interview him on the program later. But that's a place you should go. People freely just play their instruments or sing with us, piano or guitar or drums, organ. It's so fantastic. Cool. And they have an open bar that people just sort of, I call it a communion, where people just kind of can, there's a school downstairs. But it's a great place, and we might start meeting there more regularly later. We love you again.
Love you.
Peace and blessing. Good night. Find something to do with your life. I believe you're going to turn out to be something.